simple short media share. Rarely is it that inverted Bitcoin makes me feel more bullish. It usually tempers my bull. In this instance, it makes me feel more bullish. What do we have? We have a head and shoulders with a Batman ears, M top, complex left shoulder in the upside HVF, and complex right shoulder in a ascending megaphone on a bear pole scenario. Couple of things can happen out of this. You go straight into the spill and you continue on down straight out of that megaphone continuation. An ascending megaphone, in other words, going against the pole, which was bear, ascending against bear pole, is typically continuation. Go watch broadening structures again. In my view, that can just go straight and walk its way out. It doesn't mean it's going to rip per se, but it could indeed mean good progress to the downside. What it could also do, given the complexity of the left shoulder, given our recent studies on the hybrid head and shoulders, and when this is a hybrid head and shoulders because it has HVF in the left shoulder. So the minute we have HVF method in it, it's got a combination of, it's a hybrid, a combination of fuel sources driving it forward. HVF method is now in the game as well as head and shoulder structuring. So that's why it's a hybrid. And as a result, we have a possibility also that you could get, let me take a draw tool, TG Pink, pull it down to levels around here. Now you've got a bit of a flamboyant pole of a low one. It could be argued that that was your candle low one and there was a bit of schizo and could be a cutout. So you could say, look, that whole Facebook melodrama, or do their own Bitcoin, rah, bunch of gossip, gone mad. I'm going to cut that out, and you just ignore it. Or in terms of because that is actually your candlestick body low. But you could also decide to take it. There's not a right or a wrong. I'm slightly predisposed to the cutout of the schizophrenia on the basis that it was clear that we went into a low here and the broadening structure started here. So the bracket, which is the end of the pole and the top attachment to the megaphone, is in essence there and there. And that is part of it. So that is the beginning of a broadening structure for which that was just an odd moment. So you could fractalize here. Don't forget you're also sitting on the just in time. I've reduced this funnel to dots to not over dominate, but that's the just in time for the bear on the normal Bitcoin pump, which is the just in time entry here for the inverted upside, which of course was a sell-off on Bitcoin. Overall, the suggested target on this is 63,656 when you're way up at 54. So watch for a fractal in here and a spill. The other thing that could happen, instead of just consistently moving its way out, spill, maybe a bounce on just running the axis, a bit of a return move, maybe a wind up, doom, a bounce at the stop validation. Last time you just put a toe through, now you're trading through it, etc. And so you go. You could also have, as a separate scenario cast, you could have an inversion where I would still say I'd prefer to use that as the low one and ignore this event on a cutout probably, and you have a down leg to here that runs the axis, fails to take that low out, so it's a marginally higher low than that, and then you get HVF fractal. So once you've already had an HVF on one side, the plausibility and possibility of HVF method re-showing up, it's in the DNA, is higher. So you could then run just to the axis here, and then you could set up inverted structure, which sees you end up with something like that. So these are scenario costs on account of the fact that you've got a brother by a different mother who sees the world a little bit differently to you in an inverted sense, that broke to its target there. and you are now that sister from a different mister who's looking at the world the other way around and wants to drop in that way. So that was our M head. Slightly complex even in its Ming. M&M. It's an M&M head. Oh dearie me. Such a crank. How come you're such a crank, boy? Oh, well, I don't know, mister. Anyway, so that could head on down, and 63 would be a move, a very helpful move. I don't think anything's going to be rippy fast on Bitcoin. But the point is, if it just enables the others to go, the alts, and is not dying itself, then we're in a good space. So actually, this is an alt accumulation call that I've just made, and we've discussed. Let's just encapsulate this. We've discussed hybridized head and shoulder. We're actually looking at an inversion. I call the template inversion. All the candles are flipped. Do not be confused. This is Bitcoin USD. The numbers get smaller on the way up. This is inversion. So we're doing inverted analysis. That's one. We're discussing hybridized head and shoulders. We've just christened an M&M head and shoulder, which was a really complex head, which was a really complex M. We've got ourselves an upside HVF on the inverted chart that broke up, which was of course a spill to the 49,000 target. And now we're scenario casting the possibility, and we're also reminding you that you could get a fractal. And as I'm speaking, actually, this is leaning up against our MegaPhone grind line. Okay, that's it from me. Quite a bit covered in that in terms of advanced tech, TA and HVF method. This, of course, is also a longer time frame falling wedge. I'm going to just take a picture of this before we lose it. Use it or lose it, brother. The other interesting thing that while we taking family snapshots, I want to highlight is that your vol, which is not inverted, is dropping very nicely. And remember what I typically say to you, ongoing drops on volatility generally. Obviously, if it's in a certain pattern, that's an inverted HVF, less so. But in a general context where you're not structuring an inverted HVF, is very bullish. Okay, you've heard it from the horse's mouth himself. And I hope you enjoyed that little lesson and check out. And I think it's a good time for Bitcoin and even better for your alts. Okay, bye for now.